Trinity? Could you tell me the reason why you and your husband were in my room earlier? If you guys are planning to stay the night here, would you both please go to the guest bedroom? Oh, hi, Ari. I was surprised that you actually went outside the house for once, but I guess you're home now. This place is my home, so of course I'd be coming back. Now, could you and your husband please come here and get your things out of my room? What? What's wrong with us wanting to be in there? Do you really think it's a bad thing that my husband and I want to get a taste of what this room feels like in this penthouse here? Then go to the guest bedroom. It has the same view as my room, but the only difference is that it's not already occupied. We only just put our stuff down in there, though. You really think you can just come into this house and do as you please? I'm sorry, but my bed is off limits to anyone else as it was specifically made to my needs. I get that it's comfy, but it's not meant for you. Oh? So you found out what I was really after in that room then? Well, if you chose my room over the guest bedroom, the only real difference is the bed, so that was pretty obvious to me. If you and your husband do anything in that bed while I'm out of the house, I am telling you right now that you'll both be charged $10,000 to get me a new one. $10,000 is what you paid for that? You really expect me to believe something like that? I hope you do, considering that's the price I had to pay. So come and get your things right now. The fact that everything always has to be about you is so annoying. Ari, you've really gone and done it this time. What did I do? You went and took some of my money out of my purse, right? Huh? I am not in that much of a need for money where I'd do something like that to my own sister. Yeah, sure. That's probably because you're always taking mom and dad's money like some thieving parasite. What did you say? What are you talking about? The other day, I was in your bedroom, right? Well, I had accidentally left my purse in there when you kicked my husband and I out. So when I went in there to grab it today, there should have been around $500 in it, but there was only $200. Huh? I don't know what happened to your money. Actually, I never even saw that your purse was left in my room these past couple of days. Did you really forget to take it out of my bedroom the other day? That's what I expected the criminal to start saying next. I already had a talk with both mom and dad, and they told me they never went into your room. So that would mean while my purse was forgotten about in your room, you found it and took $300 out of it before putting it back where I had forgotten it. This is so stupid. So you're not going to confess to any of it? Hey, Trinity, could all of this be happening because you want to start living in my penthouse? We are not talking about your penthouse right now. This is about that money which was in my purse. I want you to give me back that $300 you stole from me first before we talk about anything else here. I told you I don't know what happened to your money. Jeez, Ari, this is exactly the reason for why you're 40 years old and can't get married still, right? Now, what does that have to do with anything? You know what a lot of people call women like you? They call you a middle-aged woman still living in her nursery room. Huh? You don't work any kind of a job and you live off the money your parents make. A 40-year-old useless shut-in. I have a job, though. You have no idea how hard it is to make money in this world and probably still think it just grows on trees or something. And that's why you ended up stealing my money from my purse. I have told you 3 times now, I don't know anything about that purse. It's so upsetting that a woman in her 40s had to steal money from her little sister. For Christ's sake. So you have no interest in actually listening to anything I have to say, do you? I'm not going to think of some money-stealing criminal woman as my older sister anymore, so it's over between you and I. I'm cutting ties to you. From now on, my husband and I will be living in this penthouse. It kind of sucks that mom and dad are still going to be living here with us, but that will only last a couple more years before they both croak. And while they're still around, they'll make for 2 great housekeepers. So this is goodbye to you, Ari. Have fun on the streets now after you're kicked out of this place. I knew this is what you were wanting. I have to say, the fact that you've already lived close to half of your life and have still not gotten a taste of the real world is really disappointing. So hopefully, kicking you out of this penthouse once and for all helps you grow a little. Aren't you embarrassed to be 40 now and still not have any experience working for a company? And that's not even as bad as how ashamed you should be feeling for stealing $300 out of my purse. I'm not unemployed, and I was not the one that stole your money. But if this is how you want to play this game, then I'll play along with you. I'll be out of this place as soon as possible. Good, good, good. I will praise you on the fact that you came around to accepting your crimes pretty quickly there. I want you out of this penthouse in 1 hour, all right? Once again, I'm going to have to praise you for getting all your things together and moving out of this house in under an hour. Honestly, hearing praise from someone like you gives me the opposite feeling of being happy. I'm sure you're dying on the inside right now, right? That's right. That bet of yours, the $10,000 one. I'll be taking it now. So what you mean is you'll be paying me $10,000 to take it, right? What are you going on about? It wasn't even you that paid for the bet in the first place. It was Dad that got this thing for you. Excuse me? Really? Knowing about how you forced Dad to buy you this kind of an expensive bed, even though he was already paying for you to eat and sleep in this house, is really sly of you. And that pisses me off a little. I cannot believe that for the past 2 years, ever since you completely shut yourself into this place, you've done nothing but take advantage of others and make things all about yourself. You've received enough of everyone's money now, right? From now on, it's my turn to lay back and enjoy this fancy penthouse while Mom and Dad pay for my husband and I. Trinity, you really have no idea what you've gotten yourself into. Wait, it's more like you've just forgotten everything about what happened a few years ago. Trying to threaten me by saying some really vague and stupid things like that aren't going to scare me away. Don't you ever come back here, all right? Bye-bye. I'll hold you to that then. Ari, hey! What is this about this place costing $16,000 a month to live in? This penthouse has already been paid off by Dad now, right? He just came up to me and said that if I want to start living here with my husband forever, then we'll need to start paying the rent. And what's this about you having been the one paying the rent this whole time? What's Dad even going on about right now? How could a jobless parasite like you have had the money to afford a place like this? I told you I'm not unemployed, Trinity. And if you'd like a little more detail into what I'm doing for work, I'm running a decently sized company as the CEO. Stop lying, you idiot! Mom already told me about how you never leave the house except for maybe a couple of times a month. That's because I'm normally working remotely from my bedroom. And the only reason I really have to leave the house at all is to go to the office building and hold meetings or talk with some customers in person. That's what Mom meant by that. Now, listen here. We are not living in the 20th century anymore. This is the 21st century now, where people can be employed yet not ever have to leave their home. And recently, due to a lot of world events, companies have been more open to letting their employees work from home instead of having to make any commute into the office. I don't need to listen to you talking about all that crap. And another thing, Trinity, has your mental health gotten any better? I ask that because it seems that you've only gotten worse when it comes to how you twist situations to your benefit, so that you never have to listen to anything others are saying to you. Did you stop going to see that therapist or something? Come on! I had thought this whole time that Dad bought this amazing penthouse with the money he got from his pension after he left his company and retired. So you forgot what happened with Dad then when he retired? Come back here already, Ari! I can't do that. Remember that I'm holding you to your word now? And that word was you saying for me to never return there again. But there's nobody here that can afford to pay this kind of rent. Well, then you should have actually been listening to me. Shut the hell up. Ari! Both Mom and Dad left the penthouse. They even took all the things that were left over in your room and left. There's not a single person in this house that can help pay for the rent now. My husband's been telling me over and over again that he's not earning enough to pay for this place. $16,000 is way too crazy for him and I to afford. Well, it's not like you'll be paying it anyway, considering that this is the last month you can live in that penthouse. After that, the lease will be finished and you both will have to leave. What? I made sure to end my lease there a while ago, and this was the last month before the landlord said he'd be placing the penthouse back on the market. If you want to continue living there, then you'll have to apply for the place and hope you're accepted. But of course, that'll mean you both have to start paying rent. What the hell are you talking about? It's only been 2 years since you, Mom, and Dad moved into this place, right? I know that. And from the very beginning, we only really were planning to stay there for around 2 years. Why would you only want to stay for that short period of time? Trinity, because of you, Mom and Dad were no longer able to live in the house they had before. You know, the one you and I both grew up in? You seriously forgot literally everything that happened back then? What? You went and forced one of your former classmates to give up their husband and let you take him, right? And, well, that former classmate of yours, Grandpa, just so happened to be the technical owner of the land Mom and Dad's house was on. That man ended up getting very, very upset with you and the family and forced both Mom and Dad out of their house to have it torn down. And then he went and sold the land to someone else. But before he could do that, Dad was forced by him to pay for the house's demolition and for the land to be cleaned up, which cost Dad most of his retirement and all. What the hell? How? So that's what happened with you. You didn't forget about what happened, rather you just never cared about how it would later affect your parents. But Ari... I told Mom and Dad that I could step in and pay off the settlement that was being asked from them by your former classmate and her parents. But they told me it wasn't any of my responsibility. So I thought, at the very least, I would take Mom and Dad, who had lost their house at the fault of you, and I would put them in a penthouse with me, since the both of them had always wanted to live in one of the skyscrapers downtown. So after they had paid all their dues that you caused, they came to me and we moved into the penthouse together. Mom and Dad were in tears about what I was giving them, and I asked them how long they wanted to live there, and they both agreed on 2 years. So that's why your lease is over with now? Although I'm kind of surprised that Mom and Dad even allowed you to come over to my penthouse after all your cheating husband and thieving self had done to them. Huh? Are you aware why Mom and Dad were both living with me in that penthouse now? Because of all that you'd done. And if you'd like to know, the only reason you and your husband were actually allowed past security is because I allowed it. What the? I had always thought that Mom and Dad were so happy to pay off that settlement for me, and then chose to buy that penthouse with Dad's retirement after I left. And that you forced your way into there after leaving the part-time job you had and making them pay for all your needs. I thought that if Mom and Dad could afford a penthouse like that and pay for a full-grown woman like you, then they really were rich, and that got me all excited. Well, in reality, all of this was forced to happen because of what you'd done, and it was rough for all of us since. I really thought you already knew about everything that happened since you were the cause of all of it. I would really like to know what's inside that massive head of yours. It can't be considered a true brain or anything by any form of scientific method, can it? And this is why Mom and Dad were asking you to please go and see a therapist. I never thought my own sister would say that about me. Hey, can you tell me where Mom and Dad moved to? Not happening. Why not? Because they've both demanded that I never tell you. Then where have you moved to, Ari? I'm sure that things are so lonely for a single 40-year-old woman, right? My husband and I will come live with you to help make you feel better. What a freaking joke. I'm not even single anymore. What? You got married without telling me? That's right. Then how about you let my husband and I live there and we can all be a happy double couple family? I don't want you causing any trouble for my husband, so I'm not telling you where I live. No way. How about you stop acting like everything's about you and get real, Trinity? You have now not only been disowned by both Mom and Dad, but you've also lost the privilege of calling me your older sister. What? Honestly, something like this should have happened a lot sooner. I think right after you stole that man away from someone else and married him, while also causing both Mom and Dad to lose their home and money, we all should have cut ties to you. Maybe Mom and Dad both thought that after a few years you'd change, but considering the kind of freak you are mentally, there is no way you'd get any better. You didn't even bother going through more therapy, instead just making up a plan to have me kicked out of the house by saying I stole your money. Ugh, there's no hope for you anymore. You're not going to be living in that penthouse for much longer, and you won't be finding any of us. Wait! The apartment my husband and I had been living in before, we ended the lease on it, so... Well, that penthouse's lease is also ending, so find somewhere new to live from now on. But there's nowhere left we can go! Make sure you're out of there before the end of this month. Goodbye forever. Wait a second, Ari! We can figure something out for me. Trinity and I are 10 years apart in age, which means she's 30 years old now, yet you probably would never be able to guess that by the way she acts so much like a selfish and spoiled brat. Ever since I can remember, she's always been wanting the things I had. But who could have seen her behavior getting any worse to the point she'd go after other people's things, like their husband? And it's a bit more than 2 years since that happened. These last 2 years, my parents and I have done our best to move past the horrible memories she implanted in us. But after thinking she'd be back a better person, she only proved to us that her mental health was not fixable. And because of that, she's no longer a part of this family. On the day her and her husband had to leave that penthouse, they got into this huge fight that led to their divorce. But the issue there was that my sister had no money at all, so she couldn't afford to even rent the most basic of places. Therefore, she had to contact my rather hard ass of an aunt, who came and picked her up to move out with them and work on their farm. Our aunt went ahead and made a deal with Trinity, which was that by working on her farm and paying my parents back every cent they lost because of her 2 years ago, she would not have to be abandoned by the rest of the larger family as well. Seems that her life of having no money at all is going to continue on for a couple more years now.
Thank you for watching. Please subscribe and hit the like button. See you next time.
Sarah, long time no see. Hey, heard you tied the knot with someone? And the man you're with now is making $500,000 every year? For some reason, the fact that everything is always about you is so mean. So, because things aren't fair, I'm going to be taking him. Tell me where you guys are living right now. What the heck? Never thought I'd need to talk with someone as mentally unstable as you again. What? You jerk! How dare you say that about your cute little sister? And if you were a cute little sister to me, then you wouldn't be saying crap like how you plan to take my husband away from me. Oh, you think so? Well, there's no point in trying to hide the glaring facts from you now, since everyone else seems to be talking about them. So yes, it's true. I got married to someone. But my husband is nothing more than your average office worker with a pretty basic salary. I have no idea what you're talking about when you said $500,000 a year. What? So if you're thinking of taking my husband away from me in the hopes that you'll become rich, that's never going to work out for you. And it's not like you're going to be able to steal him from me now anyway. Huh? What was that? What are you going on about? How come I won't be able to steal him from you? I'm not going to say why you won't be able to. That would end up giving away the kind of situation I'm in right now, so you're not getting anything else from me about that. Oh, I get it now. You're trying to cover everything up by lying to me, all so that I won't think there's any reason to bother you guys, and I'll just give up, right? But that's too bad. I already know where you and your husband are living right now, so there's no use in trying to cover anything up. What? You knew about where I live, yet you asked me anyway? I asked because I already know. Anyway, my plan to come out there and take your husband away from you will be starting tomorrow, bright and early. I know for a fact that he should be all over someone as young and pretty as me, instead of some old disgusting hag like yourself. It won't even be a gamble getting him from you. Ugh. Is that right? If you think that you can get him, then please come and try your best. Huh? See ya. Huh? How dare you talk to me like that when you're my older sister? I'm going to steal that walking ATM from you whether you like it or not. Sarah? The fact that you're typing out your laughter like that only tells me one thing. That you're brain dead and need to be put in an institution. You ass! Well, who cares what you think? I'm in a great mood today, so I'll refrain from fighting back right now. So what the hell is it this time, Livia? Your super rich husband has become my man now. Huh? That's what I'm wanting to tell you today. Can I ask you something then? What's that? Livia, where are you right now? That's what you want to ask? I'm at the apartment where you and your husband have been living, in your guys' bedroom. I'm not asking about what room you're in. Tell me what the address of the place is. I just told you the address. I'm at your apartment. Yesterday you left on a business trip and have not been home since, right? That's why your husband ended up calling me to come over and see him. And we've been laying in the bed that's normally reserved for you and him, making some of the best love we've ever had. I've been with him all night long making love, so we never ended up getting any sleep at all. Would you shut the hell up about all of that, you annoying little freak? Well, I just want you to know how happy we are with one another. Well, I don't care about all those gross details. Huh? Since yesterday, I have been at my house and haven't gone anywhere. Huh? I was just in my bedroom making the bed and everything, and as far as I'm aware, you were not in there. So what's going on here? Have you completely lost your mind now and believe that you're in my house having sex? Or have you started trying drugs and are having a really crazy trip right now? No way, Sarah. Well, then just know that currently there is nobody inside my house that is not supposed to be here. See ya. Hold on a sec. You just had your husband stolen from you, and yet you're not going to start crying about it or anything? Sarah, thank you so much for getting that divorce for me. Just this morning, we both went to the courthouse and got married. Huh? I haven't gotten a divorce, Livia. That lie isn't going to work on me, all right? After all, I went to the courthouse with your ex, and we both handed in the documents needed to get married, and they were able to process it all. If you were telling the truth, then we wouldn't have been able to get married then, right? So stop it with those lies. What courthouse did you end up going to? The one next to the Carlton City Hall. Carlton? Turns out that this super rich $500,000 a year making man loves me a lot more than you. So sorry about that. All right, so I wasn't wrong about you being nowhere close to my house. And just like I'd said before, I don't have any idea what you mean by a man making $500,000 a year. What? Hey, Livia, I think it's getting time for you to stop trying to pick on me like that. Don't you think the same? I totally get that a little sister like you who came from a completely different mother has always had something against me ever since your dad married my mom. And I felt the same way about you since you've always been trying to get in my way. The whole reason I left the house at the same time I went to college was with the hopes that you and I could forget about each other and live our own separate lives. So how about you learn to stop caring about me so much, and then you won't have to keep playing games with me, all right? If you can't do that, then I'm going to just block you instead. I'm not going to stop. Why not? Because if you leave me and I can't pick on you anymore like this, then my one form of happiness will be lost forever. I finally was able to go to your place and steal your husband from you and everything, even getting married to him today with the hopes of getting some form of entertainment out of you. You can go ahead and block me if you want, but I'll just get a new number and start calling and texting you from there. Now, let me tell you the good stuff. We are having our wedding in 6 months. It'll be a $100,000 wedding, so you have to be there to enjoy it with me. And your ex, my husband, said he'll be paying for the whole wedding. That's what I expected from my ATM husband who makes $500,000 a year. I love this. You are such a pain in the ass. Huh? Go ahead and have your fun then. Well, that's taking into consideration that the marriage and wedding you're talking about is even a real thing. And not some strange delusion of yours from whatever drugs you're on. None of it matters to my life and I anyway, so see ya. What are you talking about? I can't believe you are so destroyed by losing your husband to me. Olivia, do you have a second? Well, look who it is. It's Sarah. I never knew you had the ability to send me any texts first. How rare. Oh, is this because you finally came to realizing that you do want to be a part of my wedding taking place tomorrow? What? 3 months ago, I sent you an email with the invite to my wedding and everything in it for the RSVP. But then I was told your email didn't exist and that the email couldn't be sent to you. And you never responded to any of my texts either. So unfortunately, I had no choice but to not put you on the guest list, and there was nothing prepared for you. However, I'll be very nice to you this time by calling the venue right now and asking them to add you on the list last minute. So you'd better thank me later. I can see you're still under the effects of whatever drug you've been taking, rambling on by yourself like that. But I wanted to ask who you're married to. Like, what's his name? I always thought that you were just playing around that whole time with the whole getting married and having a wedding thing. But it turns out you weren't kidding, and so I wanted to check with you to see who you were having the wedding with. Oh, all right, okay. I'm with Robert, the man that I stole from you before, who was making $500,000 a year. I was right on the money again. So, now you can tell that he is completely mine now and will never be going back to you again, right? That man, he and I used to work for the same company before I changed jobs and started working someplace else. He was in a different department though, so I don't really have anything to do with him. What? The only thing that I ever seem to have in common with the guy is that after I got married, my last name changed to that of the same name as his. I think where you got all confused was that right there. Our last names. Huh? Also, just to make sure that there is no more confusion here, my husband and Robert have no relation to one another at all. They are not family and they are not friends. He just so happens to have the same last name, but besides that, he's a complete stranger to me. Are you sure? By the way, do you know the name of Robert's ex-wife at all? Well, now that you mention it, he never told me her name. I thought for sure that I didn't need to ask about her because she was you. I see, Olivia. I think you'd better give up on that marriage with him sooner rather than later, all right? What? If you don't get that divorce from him soon, you're only going to be hurting yourself even more in the future. I can promise you that. Actually, I'm sure things will already be pretty rough for you now in the next couple of days or weeks. Sarah, could this mean that you are trying to go after my ATM husband now, who is bringing in $500,000 a year? Huh? I knew that's where this was all going. Hold it right there, Olivia. I'm not going to shut up and listen to you anymore. That guy, Robert, he's been arrested by the police a few times before. Huh? Yesterday, I got a call from Robert's ex-wife where she told me all about him. 7 years ago, he had caused some fights and was arrested by the police for assaulting someone. Huh? It all started with him being exposed by another coworker of his for harassing people in the office, which led to him being fired by the company. He then got into a fight with that coworker outside of the office and had to serve a short sentence and pay some settlements after. He then tried to find work in a different company after all that, but they were able to see he had a criminal record. Huh? I'm just telling you what I've learned about that man, so you figure out the rest and decide whether you really want to stay married to him or not. See ya. Sarah! I have no idea what's going on here anymore. What is it this time, Livia? Robert's ex-wife just came barging into our wedding without even giving me a second to see who she was. She grabbed Robert and dragged him away with her, and I don't know where they went. So you actually went through with having the wedding? I thought I told you not to take things any further. Because of his ex-wife, this wedding is having to be canceled now, though. Why is this having to happen to me? No matter what's going on with you there, do you really think it's going to help you any whining to me about all of that? But this was all your dirty work, right? You've been wanting my rich husband who makes $500,000 a year, and so you worked together with his ex-wife in order to try and steal him away from me, right? You think I'm going to let you get away with that? Huh? How the hell could I have anything to do with all of that when I'm overseas right now? What? You're overseas right now? I can see this whole conversation is getting nowhere with you, so I'll tell you everything in order to get you off my back. My husband and I, we met within the same company and started to date there. But with our marriage, we decided to take that opportunity to move overseas to one of the newly opened offices and help support its growth. We've been living here for a year now and have no plans of moving back to the US anytime soon. Even if you are overseas, that doesn't disprove the fact that you could have gotten help from my husband's ex-wife to do your dirty work. This is so pointless. I guess I'll have to do this to you then, since you can't seem to get a grip on reality here. Here we go. To start, the one making that $500,000 a year has turned out to be the ex-wife. Huh? She has helped in the building of many companies and also owns a lot of properties which she flips and sells for 4 to 5 times the buying price. Wait. You have that all wrong. Robert is the one who does all of that. And all of that seems to be your biggest mistake. What? Also, when it comes to the divorce of Robert and his ex-wife, that wasn't done with the both of their consent. It turns out that Robert handed in the paperwork without her approval and then fled from her. Huh? And his ex only came around to realizing he handed in those papers and got the divorce 2 days ago. It's not like she didn't want the divorce and everything, since she already had a few problems with the man, including the fact that she knew he was cheating on her with you. But the fact that he used her savings to pay for your whole entire wedding today is something she is not letting either of you get away with, hence her barging in there and taking him away. She plans to tear Robert a new one, and that's why you didn't even get a chance to talk with her before they both vanished. From what she's told me, she's not even going to take legal action with him, as her plan is to force him to work for all that money of hers that he spent, and she knows where he can do that. What the hell? None of this is making any sense to me. There is something that makes sense to me in all of this. What's that? I'm not sure if the plan was for the wedding to be paid before or after the event by Robert. But his ex was able to freeze all of her accounts before he could take any more money from her, and since she has him now, you're going to have to figure out a way to pay for that wedding. If anything still has to be paid off, that is. What? You were telling me before the wedding is $100,000, right? What? I'm not sure how much is left to be paid for and how you plan on paying it off. But if things are as Robert's ex had explained to me, you still have at least another $30,000 to $40,000 that needs to be paid off. Wait. And of course, that's not all you'll have to pay. You were having an affair with a married man for a little while there, so his ex-wife is going to make sure you pay her a settlement for doing that. I'm sure that Robert, who is making $500,000 a year, will be able to pay that all off for me. And if you were listening to me, you'd know he's not making squat right now. His ex is the one making the big bucks. I told you Robert was fired years ago and has not been able to find a place that will hire him since, right? What? To put it all into perspective for you, not only does Robert have a criminal record, but he is unemployed after losing his job years ago as well. And then, in order to marry you, he went and handed in that divorce paperwork without his wife knowing at the time. And while doing that, he took some money from her savings account in order to pay for your guys' wedding that was today. Naturally, his ex is not happy about any of this and is not going to forgive either of you for what's happened. And that's why you can expect her to go full send with you both here. Therefore, whatever money is left to be owed to the wedding planner and venue has to be handled by you and Robert. Huh? And since you had an affair with a man you knew was married at the time, it is 100% likely that you'll have to pay a settlement to his ex-wife now. No way, you're joking. Are you understanding things now? But the wedding is canceled now. And that's happened on the day of your wedding, so you still have to pay 100% of those costs. I don't have any money, though. And the only thing I have to say to that is you won't be getting any money unless you find a way to work for the money. Why do I have to? Because you were the one asking for all of this. This is all because you decided to get married. And had you just done your research a little better, then you would have noticed that I wasn't even in the US, and therefore you could never steal my husband from me. That's not true. I didn't do anything wrong here. None of this is my fault. And if that's what you still want to think, then so be it. Just be aware that no matter how hard you try to turn a blind eye to reality, your responsibilities will catch up to you, and every second you leave them unkempt adds another second to the hell you'll have to go through. Sarah! Now, good luck with whatever hell awaits you next. Wait, Sarah, help me, Sarah! During this whole mess of events, I'm sure you're wondering what my parents were both doing, right? My dad hated the fact that this wedding was all happening because his daughter thought she was stealing my husband, so he never showed up to it. However, my mom ended up thinking that her little girl could never be in the wrong and thought that I had set it all up, which led to our parents getting into a heated fight. And wouldn't you know, that led to a divorce as well. When this happened, Livia began to freak out even more because she was just planning to ask her dad for some money to help her pay everything off, which now no longer was an option for her. She had a massive fight with our mom over it, saying it was her fault for pushing dad away, and that led to those two cutting ties to one another. Thinking that she could be just like me, Livia screamed at our mom before running off that she'd leave the US too and make tons of money, and that was the last of it. I'm not sure where Livia ended up going, but I heard from Robert's ex-wife that she received all the money from Livia that she'd asked for in one big payment. And along with that money was a message from a random number to me saying I was fooled and nothing else. To this day, I have no idea where Livia went, but that number was from Mexico, so that's a good guess, I suppose.
Thank you for watching. Please subscribe and hit the like button. See you next time.